Hello and welcome. My name is Griffin. I'm joined today by Woltter from DNX.Solutions. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me at the AWS today.
Excellent. So today we're here talking about a pretty interesting topic in terms of fairly typical customer challenges around data. We often hear customers trying to unlock value of data or get stuck with analysis paralysis and things like that. They've got disparate systems. They just don't know how to make decisions around data and utilize that data in the most appropriate way. And we know that DNX have got a solution around that called DataLab, which is an extension of a program that obviously AWS previously had as well. So I really want to get some thoughts and some insights from DNX and some of the stuff that you guys are seeing out there in the market. And we'll sort of start off with that customer challenge. What do you guys typically see in the market in terms of data and unlocking data?
Sure. These days, we see customers that they have collected, extracted tons of data, and they get stuck on how to leverage this data to support their decision-making process. Or also a customer that want to expand their data extraction capabilities and how they could use AWS solutions to improve or also to start from somewhere, right? So this data has to be leveraged from systems like CRM, existing spreadsheets, or integration with existing systems, legacy ones, or new integrations with their existing environments on AWS or other sort of compute that they use. So this solution will help them to see some potential roadmap or some potential solution that they can leverage from the range of solutions that we have, but always starts with the discovery phase from DNX.
It's a really good point. So you've touched on a couple of really good, interesting points there that I want to sort of double down on, which sort of leads us into what the DNX DataLab actually is. But getting started, we often see customers sort of hamstrung with this whole concept of getting started. How does the DNX DataLab help in that process?
It's fairly simple. So DataLab has two phases. The design phase is the one that reveals the potential of that data for the customer. So this phase is fairly simple. It takes from 2 to 4 hours with one of our AWS certified solutions architects. So you can expect from outcome in this design phase a custom fit high-level diagram from the solution that we're going to propose, and also a roadmap. So this roadmap will be an input for a potential build phase. This build phase can take from 1 to 3 weeks, and that's when we engage technical leaders and business leaders with the customer working backwards with the inputs from design to build a production-ready component of the solution or a proof of concept. That all depends on the challenge.
Right. So if I sort of summarize, we've got this concept of starting out and really understanding what particular use cases could be adopted or could be explored a little bit further. And then you go into like a hands-on approach to developing or deploying a pre-production ready or proof of concept use case. Is that sort of like a time box period where you say, right, in this period of time, we're going to explore that proof of concept, we're going to explore that use case and then work towards productionizing that?
Correct. So the design phase will tell you the complete roadmap, how the solution architects sees the solution being implemented. Could be in waves, could be a long-term modernization project. So, but from that roadmap, you get a time box during the build stage of the solution. And this build stage will be this particular component. So you can build a pilot or can be a proof of concept that our engineers and business leaders will work on this particular challenge, which is the core of our approach, right? So we do modernization is in our core. So here at DNX, we always consider the business challenge first, and we work backwards toward the solution. So we can consider many technologies for this approach. We take the people also in consideration. So how upskilled the team is in terms of AWS services or data analysis to leverage the data that they already have. And taking this into approach, we can also add up more handover sessions instead of just build something and walk away.
Excellent. So if I sort of think about, typical, business, like the business lens, for example, we've got this people, process, and technology. So you wrap around that as well from a change management perspective to make sure that their people know, what the new experience could possibly be and aligning to that roadmap. You got the process and making sure that the business processes are, modernized, if you like. And then obviously the technology is probably the most easiest part.
Absolutely, yeah. As we say here at DNX, it's all about people, not just only our people, but also the customer into consideration here. So you wouldn't build something very extremely complex that their team cannot absorb and then give some roadmap that they cannot leverage themselves. Yeah. So it's not only the technology taken into consideration, we also bring the people into this equation.
Excellent. And if I sort of take a step back and we go back to the design phase of this, the design lab, what sort of stakeholders or what sort of people sort of typically get involved in that process from the customer and from DNX?
So from the design phase, we are going to get the decision makers there because they are the one that's going to leverage the final result of the solution. And also we're going to be introduced to the technical team to see how this solution will fit their existing skills, their existing capabilities in-house. And then the build phase, of course, we're going to integrate more with the technical team to make it work, to have something tangible at the end. Yeah. That's going to be a pre-production-like component of the solution, or also something that just proved the concept that being designed in the previous phase.
Excellent. So it's a very immersive experience, bringing the customer along for the whole journey.
Yeah, it's not one solution fits all.
Yeah.
So you might end up with a roadmap of modernization, taking the application into consideration as well. We might point it out with this holistic view that application has to be modernized in order to leverage better the data that you already collected.
Excellent.
Or you can end up with a simple roadmap with simple AWS managed services in place. That's going to give you the visualizations of the data that you're looking for to support the decision-making process, which has been captured during the design phase. Amazing.
Sounds like a pretty fun experience, to be honest. If I'm sort of, taking an idea from a concept essentially through the design phase, then actually seeing that in the build phase. You're saying that's only a few weeks in terms of timeline, is that right?
Yes, correct. So the design it takes from 2 to 4 hours. The design phase gives the input to build phase, which is going to be from 1 to 3 weeks, depending on the challenge. Particularly, we're going to give a time box frame that you can leverage. This time box frame into build can be also leveraged to upskill your team. So let's say you want a proof of concept and you want to leverage our expertise to show what's possible to your team. And then you're going to leverage the engagement later with DNX or with AWS. You can put more and more services on top to leverage more and more capabilities of your data expertise today. It's totally possible. So it's not a fixed roadmap. The solution will take into consideration all aspects of your team as well.
So it's a nice agile roadmap to really start to unlock a lot of other use cases that the customer might have.
100%. So even though we capture most of the business challenge during the design phase, the build phase will select one of them to prove the concept, but then your roadmap at the end is going to cover all the challenges that we've been presented during the design.
Awesome. So where can customers get started? Like how do they find DNX.Solutions? How do they reach out? And how can a customer sort of start this journey?
It's very simple. So the customers can reach out through our website, which is DNX.Solutions. DNX.Solutions is presented here as well. I believe the description of this video also will have a link that will give you a shortcut to the solution.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciated this, and certainly from a customer's perspective, you can really see where DNX.Solutions is going to be able to take a customer. So thank you for sharing that information with us today.
Thank you for having me, Kelly. That was great to have this chat with you.
No worries.